Hi you guys, welcome to today's video. This one is particularly exciting to me because one, we're talking all things tattoos. Love this topic, absolutely love it. I'm so excited. Sorry, I don't know what to do with my hair. We're going to be talking about some questions I've had people ask me, my experience about stuff, and just the kind of general what to expect and kind of like, I don't know, I have a whole list. Let me just see. We're going to talk about just the basics, like how to pick your tattoo, all this kind of stuff. We'll get into that, but the second reason this is so exciting is because I hope you like the better quality because your girl finally bought a camera. Here's what y'all look like to me, but I'm sorry, like that, because I was looking at the screen too much and I'm trying to look at y'all, but this is what you guys look like to me. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Anyway, haha, let's just get into it. First things first, I have 2 tattoos at the moment. I do plan to get more, but right now I have this one. This one was my very first one. I will also insert a picture. This is why I'm wearing this weird shirt, because I want you to be able to see. So that was my first ever tattoo. I will insert a picture right now. And then this one is my second tattoo ever, which I got like a couple weeks ago, and I love it so much. I'm so happy about it. I'm still looking at the screen. This is really bad. But yeah, so let's just get into it. How to pick a studio. So what I did was I just looked at tattoo studios in my area and I looked at their ratings and I picked the highest rating one. Objectively, I looked at what the negative reviews were, look at the reviews, and just make sure to specifically read the negative ones because you want to make sure that it's not just got bad reviews because people are dumb. So what I did was I just looked in my area, which is Everett, and I looked at the tattoo studios around me, and I found the one that looked the best, that had the most reviews that were positive, and I don't even remember if I could even find negative ones about this place. I looked at pictures on Yelp and everything, and it looked legit. It didn't look dirty. It looked super clean. I picked Night Owl. Well, it was, when I got this tattoo, it was called Night Owl Tattoo Company. And then they changed names to Unknown Tattoo Company. I went there for both of my tattoos. Wonderful experience. So I would just recommend first finding a good tattoo studio if your idea for your tattoo is not something like tribal or something very specific. So there are different tattoo styles. I don't even know them all. I personally like realism. There are different styles, which I will just list a few here. But I like realism, and so that's another thing you want to make sure to look at. This is just my advice. I looked at the best rated places, and then I went to look at the artists. So how to pick your artist is you want to make sure that they are able to do the style of tattoo that you want. So you want to make sure to look through their portfolio and everything and see what designs do you like that they've done. And you need to be very critical, not of them necessarily, but do I really like this, or am I just like wanting a tattoo and I'm just gonna be happy with this? So that's what I did with my first artist and my second artist. But my first artist, his name was Devin. The reason I didn't get this tattoo done by him too was because he moved, and I was just planning to get it done by him too because I've already experienced it. This artist was absolutely amazing too. I will get into that a little bit more later, but yeah, so you want to make sure that their tattoo artist is able to do the style that you like well. Most of the artists at Unknown Tattoo Company, I think, are pretty good, and they're good in all the basic styles and everything like that. So yeah, make sure you pick a really well-reviewed tattoo studio and make sure that you pick an artist that matches your style the best. Now, how to pick designs. So when I was growing up, I was like, ew, tattoos, because my parents felt that way, and as a kid, I was like, okay, yes, makes sense, right? You follow your parents' thing. But then as I got older, actually right before I got this one, which was 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, so I did not wait at all. Oh yeah, laws in your state, look at those. My state is you have to be 18 to get a tattoo without needing parent consent. I think the age is 17 or 16 with parent consent here, although different studios do operate differently. So yeah, so when I went to go get this, my initial thought was all my tattoos are going to have a very specific meaning, and I'm only going to get tattoos that have a meaning, that means something to me, which is great. If you want to do that, that's totally fine. But then with this tattoo does not have a meaning to me. So let's just explain what this one means. So the reason was because I wanted a very ceremonious sort of first tattoo, and I love nature, so I was trying to figure out what do I want. So I picked this tattoo because I wanted something that represented me as the person that I was, the things that I've been through. So the tree, and I will put a picture up right now of my tattoo when it was fresh. So when I think trees, I think strength and everything like that. And for me, I've gone through things in my young, early adult life that had been very, very difficult for me to go through. And I've had to be strong through a lot of things in my life. Haven't always been successful, but I've done my best, right? So the tree represented strength and the things that I've had to go through in order to be strong. And then I wanted flowers because at the same time, I also am very, very sensitive, not just within myself, but also I am sensitive to other people's emotions. And yeah, so that's that explanation. And yeah, and so I was like, after that, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, so all of my tattoos are gonna have meaning. And then I got this one, so I will insert a picture right now. This tattoo really had no meaning. I knew I wanted a forearm design that wrapped sort of around, and I found a few, and I showed them to my artist, and he made this for me. And yeah, so that's pretty much that on that tattoo. It's very, very uneventful. I will say, when you are going to get your tattoo, or you're going to your consultation, or you're going to talk to the artist or the studio about what you would like, make sure that you have an idea of what you want. Don't just go in and be like, I want something, but I have no idea what. Like for this tattoo, I was prepared. I knew exactly what I wanted. This tattoo, I did not, which was kind of interesting because my second time going in, I wasn't as prepared as the very first time, which you would think it'd be opposite. But I did not know exactly what kind of flower I wanted. I said I did not want a rose. That was one thing I did not want. And he didn't give me a rose. I think this is a peony. It kind of looks like a poppy to me too. Either way, I don't know flowers. That's the thing, is I don't know flowers and I don't have a favorite flower. So I came very unprepared in terms of like the literal design aspects. But he helped me out. It was very nice. He was so easy to talk to. So this artist who did this, his name is Jeff, and he was awesome. Again, I'll get into that later. Then the next thing that's kind of important is how to pick your placement. So I don't know much about this, I only know from my experience, but for this, I knew what I wanted, and he sized it to the space that he had, which was a lot. In terms of this, I have very bad depth perception, and I have it's very hard for me to be like, oh yeah, that would fit and be accurate about it. So I thought, me and my little self thought that I would be able to fit like an entire like twisty thing going all the way around, like multiple times with decently sized flowers in it. I have teeny tiny arms. My artist even said, like, he mentioned that I have small arms, and I mentioned it too. And then when he was going to tattoo, he sat down and he's trying to get, I guess, in a comfortable position, and he stopped. And I saw him stop, and he kind of like adjusted, and he went back, and he said something to the effect of, I think you have the smallest arms that I have ever worked on. And that was the funniest thing ever. But size matters in this case. If you want a specific design, you have to pay attention to the detail that you are asking for and how big the space is that you're looking to put it in. So like this, I thought that I could do a lot more, but again, my depth perception is trash. So we ended up just going with one flower and this. I already have an idea of like what I want to fill this space, so I have to text my artist and ask him if what I'm thinking of would be able to be done in full detail in this space that I'm given. So now pain. Pain is one thing that I've had people ask me about and that I had lots of questions on when I was first getting my tattoo. So pain is all relative to you. With this one woman, I love watching. Her name is Catherine Byrne. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She's a Swedish YouTuber, and she talks a lot about, or she used to talk a lot about her tattoos. She's got plenty of tattoos, and I don't know if this is exactly it, but she mentioned that for some people, soft tissue hurts more than being closer to a bone does. Like getting tattooed, like right here, for example, would, or like here or on top of your foot, usually hurts more for other people than soft tissue. So like your stomach, if you are tendinating, or your butt. But for her, it's the opposite. So it depends on who you are. One thing that's a good general like gauge for pain would be placement. So for example, if you do like an outer arm tattoo, that might not hurt as much as the inner arm. Some very common places that are painful kind of universally for everybody, the palm of the hand, because of all the nerves, and I'm pretty sure that they have to tattoo deeper in your palm than they would any other surface because of how often your skin turns over on your hand. Okay, sorry for the difference in light. I have to work on my setup, but I'm using my phone flashlight now because my ring light, I think it's overheating. And then also, sorry about my shirt change. The shirt's a little more revealing than I like to deal with, but now that I've shown you my tattoos, that's the only reason I wore that shirt, is because I wanted to be able to easily show you this. So anyway, palm of your hand hurts really bad, just generally. The inside of the wrist often hurts for a lot of people because of like the tendons there and everything like that. Top of the foot I've heard hurts like a bum. So yeah, there's that. And then ribs and your spine. So I can understand that, especially because it's your bone. Like your bone is like right there. I would like to get a tattoo along my spine or on my ribs. I do think it'd be cool to have one like that. And yeah, so again, those are typically the places that I've heard hurt worst on people, but again, that is all just, it's all based on you. Every person is different, so that could hurt one person insanely, and that could be like, I feel nothing to other people. So pain can also depend on the artist. I didn't even think about this when I was getting my first tattoo, but Devin was kind of like talking to me about stuff. Okay, these artists at Unknown Tattoo Company are just awesome. I've only really spoken to 2 artists for an extended period of time. These people are just so nice, and it's really easy to talk to them. Yeah, so it depends on the artist. My artist for my first tattoo was talking about how some people have heavier hands than others, and yeah, so some tattoo artists do have heavier hands. My first artist had, I guess, a light hand compared to my second artist, because I didn't feel a difference in pain in the moment. It was more like after my tattoo was done, the next 2 days, I had a lot of soreness. But it didn't bother me at all. It was just something to think about. Some artists have a little bit of a heavier hand, so that could play into how much it hurts. And then one thing that I've heard people ask a lot that I definitely had a question about too was, does color hurt more? And from my experience, even though like I only have that little bit of color in this, from my experience it doesn't hurt more. The only reason that I would think that I could think of that would be the reason it would hurt more for color is maybe because they have to tattoo a little bit differently when they're doing color to make it stay longer. I don't know. Yeah.
Hi you guys, so I'm editing my video right now and I realize I never told you what it felt like for me personally to get these 2 different tattoos. So for my first one, I was so prepared for it to be the most painful thing I've ever felt. And I like to do that to myself. I like to expect the worst, so I'm prepared for the worst if the worst happens, but pleasantly surprised if the worst doesn't happen. So that's what I did, and it hurt not at all. Like, it literally did not hurt. It just felt weird and uncomfortable. It was just the kind of feeling where it was unpleasant, but it didn't hurt. Like, I wasn't thinking ouch, ouch, ouch. It was just like, oh, this is different and weird. Yeah, and the only time that it did hurt was towards the end when my body was just like exhausted from him tattooing me for, I think it was 2.5 hours. And then if you look at the picture, and I'll insert it again, you'll see like the green dots. So when he was up here doing the dots, what he kind of had to do was just go around in one spot to get the green in there. And when it was up here, it hurt really bad because it was like my muscle, and that was the only time it ever hurt. This didn't hurt at all either. It was the same kind of situation with this piece. It just felt unpleasant and different, like a feeling I don't normally feel, but other than that, it really didn't hurt at all. So I'm so sorry I left that out. While I have you here, I am so sorry about the sound quality. Now let me know in the comments if it sounds as bad as I think it does, because now that I'm kind of listening to it and I'm editing it, it doesn't sound as terrible as when I was first editing it. But don't worry, I literally have a little thing to make the sound better and everything coming. I ordered it yesterday. It's on its way. So by the time you see, not part 2, but the next time you see me record on the camera, it will have better quality, I promise. So anyway, let's just continue with the actual video.
Now cost. Cost is a very big thing to think about because tattoos are not cheap. For example, like this, a huge piece. This is actually pretty big too because of my body size, but I underestimated how much this would cost. This cost about, I think in total, without tip, which I'll get into that later, was $400. Now, I did not think it was going to be that much because I didn't know, which it was not a problem. So yeah, cost. It depends on the artist. Each artist charges differently. You could bring one design to one artist and the same design to another artist, and they may not charge the same, which is totally fine. Tattoo studios charge differently too, but I know that tattoo studios typically do have a minimum payment that they will accept. So like even if you wanted this tiny like little heart, they might charge you $60 if that's the minimum. The size of the tattoo will change, right? Because if it's bigger, it's gonna take longer and everything like that. If you're moving a lot, it will take longer and it will be more expensive, because what I have found, at least in my experience, the time is ultimately the deciding factor of how much your tattoo is going to cost. It would take longer because you're adding more to it. The bigger the design is, the more time it's going to take. And then if you can't sit well, if you need to take a lot of breaks, which is fine, if you need to take breaks, just be like do what you need to do. I'm sure that most tattoo artists would be okay with that, but also be aware that that will change the price if you aren't able to sit well. So again, like if you're moving a lot, it takes more time. So ultimately time is kind of the deciding factor. You pay for what you get. So if you are paying, like if you paid $100 for this design, it might not be done very well. The application might be really, really bad. It might not last afterwards. Tattoos are expensive. They are going to stay on your skin for a long, long time, especially if you take care of them. They're going to be there. They're going to look great for hopefully the rest of your life. They are really, to me, worth the money. If it's a really good tattoo studio and they're asking you for $400 for a bigger piece and you don't want to spend that money, then maybe you shouldn't get a tattoo, because you need to be willing to spend the money to get the quality that you're looking for. Otherwise, you spend a good amount of money to get your skin scarred and it's not even gonna look good, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, so I'll reiterate. Cost depends on the artist, depends on the studio, depends on time, and then every other little aspect that falls into time. So the color, the size, that kind of thing. Now, how to prepare yourself in the days/weeks leading up to your appointment. Make sure that you are hydrated, make sure that you are sleeping well, and make sure that your environment is clean. For example, my bedroom is the cat room. When I had my tattoo healing, I washed the sheets and I put like a couple sheets over my bed set and I tucked it into the bed so that the cats couldn't like get any litter or fur underneath where I would be sleeping. And then at night, because yes, they do sleep with me at night usually, at night I put them in the bathroom, which you guys saw in my second to last video. You saw that whole routine. They slept over there because in the middle of the night, who knows what they could have done. My cats like to walk on me. They could have stepped on here, scratched me, and screwed up my tattoo that I just paid a bunch of money for. You want to make sure that your environment is prepared for your healing process. You want your sheets to be clean, you want your clothes to be clean, and you don't want to sleep with your pets while your tattoo is healing, which usually, just generally, is a good time frame, depending on how big it is, of course, and depending on you, 2 weeks. And I would say that's probably my healing rate is 2 weeks, but it's not fully healed in 2 weeks. I don't remember what the actual thing is from actual tattoo artists, but I give myself 2 months to be super, super diligent with taking care of my tattoo. Again, that's something that you have to talk to your artist about. Listen to your artist, no matter what I'm saying. If it goes against what your artist is saying, just listen to him or her. Yeah, the day before, get a good night's sleep. Your body's going through this trauma and it makes you exhausted. So just make sure that you're sleeping really well beforehand, and then also eat beforehand. Don't go in not eating because the trauma can cause you to pass out. Make sure you drink lots of water beforehand. Also, shower before you go to your appointment and wear deodorant. Okay, so that has to be it for today. I will do a part 2 that will be up next week, I promise. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you next week with part 2. Bye.